Good morning and welcome to the new edition of Dr.Lamba's Awakening Call. The Finance Minister of India, Nirmala Sitharaman, on Monday announced a 4-year infrastructure asset monetization plan. Purpose: to raise 6 lakh crores, converted into dollars, $81 billion. And the purpose is to establish national monetization pipeline. This was earlier referred to in the budget speech by her in February, and it serves as a medium-term roadmap for the government asset sale initiative. The proposal has raised hornet's nest. People are calling it selling out, removing the assets, sale after established industry in the 70 years. Is it really so? According to the plan, the revenue from the monetizing road is pegged at $1.6 trillion. Railways are likely to contribute 1.5 trillion rupees, sorry, not dollars. Power sector may get $1 trillion rupees. Gas pipeline 590 billion rupees. Telecommunication 400 billion. So the total comes to $81 billion. In rupee terms, 6 lakh crores. Before I come to the subject, whether it's right or wrong, let's take the key points. The three sectors that are identified for monetization are railways, airports, and coal mines. Under the scheme, 15 railway stadiums, 25 airports, 160 coal mines will be there for asset monetization. Apart from that, roads, power, transmission lines, gas pipelines will be a part of the monetization plan. One thing which everybody is missing, especially the carping critics, that the ownership would remain with the company and they'll have to give it back. So it is basically a part-time transfer of management. Government is not selling anything. Only the underutilized assets will be monetized so that the money comes in. The plan is about monetizing the existing asset base, using the proceeds for new infrastructure creation, recycling the future assets, and building what we in economics call a multiplier effect on growth and revive credit flow. In monetization of the core infra assets, ownership will, as I said, continue to remain with the government and shall be handed back after a specified time. And bringing in by private participation, they are going to monetize the assets better. You know, private sector is always much more profitable. Look at Air India. When it was under Tata's private, it was the most profitable one. They announced it, and today it's a sick company. Look at the insurance sector. LIC was profitable, but the moment they brought in competition, the private sector, the profits increased. Railways are profitable because they're a monopoly and it's an interesting cost. Road sector, if I come to that, covers 26,700 kilometers and they will bring 1.60 lakh crores. The road sector is already monetized. 1,400 kilometers of its highway projects worth 1,700 crores. So it's already doing it. Similarly, power transmission. The earlier governments had monetized 5 assets of the power grid, raising 7,700 crores. Now the government is think of monetizing 28,608 kilometers of transmission lines and get 45,200 crores. It's also looking at power generation and hydro and solar through NTPC, and it will be 39,832 crores. One thing I like to repeat, that underutilized assets to be monetized do not imply that the ownership is transferred. People are wrongly saying, as long back, Indira Gandhi Airport and Bombay Airport, Shivaji, they were monetized. Private sector came in, but they are not the owners. The owner is still the government. So whether Ambani's or Adani's or X or Y or Z manages it, they are paying the money for the management. For that time, the profit sharing would be there, profit between the government and them. Government would be saving money on the salaries and maintenance and everything. And at the end of the period, the whole asset would revert back to the government. The government is only monetizing underutilized assets without parting with the ownership. That's the most important thing. It will be private participation will mean that they'll have to hand over the asset to the government after a predetermined period of time. The entire exercise is likely to generate greater value and unlock resources. Imagine if $81 billion comes to the government, the tax need not be increased in future, and a huge sum of money is there for infrastructure improvement, for health, for transportation, and for defense. They'll be monetized, as I said, and the monetizing assets worth 1.16 lakhs from road sector, 1.5 lakh crores basically from railway sector would imply utilizing those. Imagine if stadiums are lying waste when the games are not being played. So if they're monetizing it and get 11,500 crores just for transferring the management, not for transferring the ownership, there's nothing right. And now how it would be done. The asset management or the monetization will take place either through invite mode, that's invite the people, selected companies, or a PPP, public-private partnership. I remember I myself had instituted at least 7 projects in Rajasthan on PPP model. The first biggest project of Pigri in Mizoram was a PPP project, public-private partnership. And the government is committed to involve the private sector to develop infrastructure. Now, the major benefit is A, the government gets cash. Secondly, it has a multiplier effect because the moment the private sector is involved, they want to maximize their profitability. And monetizing the asset is the next step in mobilizing private capital for the development of the infrastructure. This being so, this plan, as I said, was referred to in February and now it's being implemented. As a matter of fact, this is a process of creating new sources of revenue by unlocking the value of underutilized public assets. It's just like leasing your farm. You have a farm, you lease it out to somebody. You can't cultivate your farm, so you lease it out. You have a factory, you rent it out. You have a warehouse, you rent it out. And warehousing industry is a major industry today. So what the government is doing is not that bad. And imagine it, Congress is opposing it. But if I'm to ask Rahul or Chidambaram, particularly Chidambaram, because it was he who started the practice of monetizing. The first monetizing was done on Bombay Pune Expressway and Indira Gandhi Airport and Chhatrapati Shivaji Airport in Bombay. Now, if it was all honky dory and all great when the Congress was in power, and Chidambaram was doing it, and it was not crony capitalism, how is it different today? Is it because the pathological hatred for BJP? Is it because they are not doing it and they are in the opposition? I agree that it can be pitfalls. The plan is good, but the devil is in the detail. The key to success for the plan lies in the way deals are structured. Now, as I said earlier, basic models are not new. I, as a management consultant, as CEO of the Chartered Consultants and CEO of Torvico, had evolved this model given to the government, and the government had utilized it. The main model basically envisages a contract between Government of India and private entity to operate an asset for a specific period. As a matter of fact, the PP model is much more than that. That's build, own, operate, transfer. Here, building is already done, so it's and owning is not there, so it's operating and transferring. The two parts of PPP, building and owning, they are not a part of the new plan. So I would compliment rather the government for going one step further in ensuring that owning is not there and building is not there, just for operating for a certain period of time. So the government is getting 86 lakh crores. 86 lakh crores is not a small amount. The best known examples, which you are aware, is in 2006, New Delhi and Mumbai airports, and then operate and maintain and development model. Another successful model is one used in 2018 for national railways called operate, maintain, transfer. The alternate model is also there, which is also in use. It resembles a mutual fund. And Power Grid Corporation, for example, raised funds this year for earmarked projects to an infrastructure investment trust IPO. So what has already been happening is now being put in a systematic manner on a larger scale. The benefits: A, the government gets money interest free, no liability, no call. It can invest it in infrastructure, in health development, defense, in fact, in any way, and not raise taxes. Most important for common person is that taxes would not be afforded. Now, coming back to that, apart from this, the success of the plan would depend on two crucial factors. As the ownership is not being transferred, government retains the oversight through the contract period. They'll be answerable, they'll be accountable. They will not be lord emperors. They'll not be owning. So they will, in case there's a problem, say in the maintenance, say in the profit loss, then the government is there to pull them up. However, the contract needs to be flexible to make it attractive for the private entity. Finding the balance within a government framework has been challenging. So another challenge is the creating of a regular framework to deal with the monopoly. Now, if railways are, and they are there under the new plan, that's a monopoly. So you have got to have a regulatory framework who keep an eye on that. Here, the mistake of the government is that the government should first have established a regulatory authority. But even now is the time. Now the plan is there. The tenders would be released, the invitations would go, the discussions would take place, and in this interim period, government can go ahead and establish a regulatory body. Other than these two main challenges, contracts for the entirely new areas, such as iconic stadium JLN, Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium in Delhi, will enter uncharted territory. Basically, the plan is an alternative to outright sale of the assets. Selling assets is bad. I'm always opposing it. But this is an excellent via media. You utilize your service is leasing the place for the time being. As I said, the success will depend on the execution. Now, another point you have got to consider when the targets are aggressive, a 4-year roadmap, which Nirmala Sitharaman has envisaged, providing in detail the assets the government intends to lease, should provide clarity to the investors and generate interest. But we know there are shortfalls in the government disinvestment collection. So the program success will require careful, continuous monitoring and addressing the concerns of the private players. The transactions are likely to be structured through either public-private partnership, as I said, or infrastructure investment trust (IVTs). Considering the experience of private players, their comfort level will depend on many factors like operational flexibility, regulatory framework, dispute resolution mechanism. But if that is done, then you can be sure this is a great thing. As a matter of fact, the whole project, the whole thing is going to be a watershed in the economic development of the country. Crying techway, crying hose, while you have been doing yourself, is a disease that afflicts the opposition in India because they're not constructive opposition. They must criticize right or wrong. They must misguide people, create in them doubts. Well, if that is a code of ethics, I have no issue. But from the national point of view, it's an excellent idea utilizing your assets without parting ownership. But as I said, the key would be the how the deals are structured, regulatory analysis, monitoring, control, and then the process would start. If you give operational flexibility to the private sector, the profitability will increase, the service will be better, and the government will get more money and the private sector will get more money. It's in fact a win-win deal, provided the conditions are enumerated are met. As a matter of fact, to ensure a smooth rollout, some experts have suggested that the government should look at the debts and the concerns of the people. And that is justified. If a person is going to invest millions of dollars, he wants to be sure of the return. The recent experience of the Indian Railways, it invited private players to run passenger trains. It is not encouraging. Only two players offer their services. One is itself a government entity. And when a government entity gives place, this is robbing Peter to pay Paul because the private sector initiative is lacking. So that has to be avoided. How these agreements will be structured and how they'll be monitored is a major issue. Would it be PPP? Would be BOOT principal minus BO, that's operation and transfer? Would we INVIT, that infrastructure investment trust? There are the three models which the government has to adopt, and they will be central to the success of the plan. They will also determine the extent of the private sector participation. It requires institutional capacity to draft such attractive agreements across multiple sectors and settings. Now, I have my doubts there. I have no doubt at all about the plan, which is an excellent plan. But as I said, the devil is in the detail. If these conditions are fulfilled, this plan is a roadmap to the progress of India, notwithstanding the criticism of Rahul when he says government is selling the assets. That's putting a wrong color on the whole picture. That's presenting something which is basically incorrect. It's not a sale. Ownership remains with the government. As I said, given those conditions, the proper model, the regulatory assessment, the monitoring, this plan would be a watershed in the economic history of India. And quite possible, it may propel the country to number two position, if not number one. But this is clearly a key to the prosperity of the country. Thank you.